All right, so we're out at this open field where there's nobody around. It's almost gonna be sunset in like 40 minutes. I wanted to come out here and just test the DJI Mic 2 setup and talk about the differences between something as simple as this and the 2.4 gigahertz system versus something as more advanced as the Sony UWP-D system I've got here. Now, I've had these for a while, and you can probably pick these up used now, maybe around $500-600 for just a single transmitter and the receiver. Now, this is a dual band receiver system, so and in layman's terms, I'm not entirely sure like how to best describe this, but this is constantly checking to see if the signal is cleaner on either the first or the second antenna or antennae. I believe I'm correct on that. I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. So anyway, this is kind of more in the mid-range of wireless setups, where something like the DJI Mic 2 is more consumer friendly. You know, it's $350 for the two-person set. If you wanted to get a two-person kit for the Sony UWP-D system, that's going to run you over $1,200 brand new, which is really pricey, and that's just middle of the road. If you get into like Zaxcom or Electrosonics, which are what the really high-end pros or people doing reality shows or doc work on major network shows, then that's like a whole nother level. This is, like I said, middle of the road, and really what you're paying for with these systems is the UHF frequency, that range, or that connection, I should say. There is a big con with these in comparison to the DJI Mic 2 and the Rode Wireless Pros and those other 2.4 gigahertz systems that are out now. Probably the biggest con with this is that there's no backup recording. Now, somebody who's a pro or doing this, you know, freelancing and what have you might not think of it as a big con, but it is something that I think if you're getting a system with a 2.4 gigahertz connection, you're probably going to want to have that backup recording, just because it's more likely to drop than a UHF system. This can go through walls and maintain a much stronger connection. There are other systems too in this price point, like the Sennheiser G4s. Now, there is the Deity Theo system, which I did a video on, and that does have internal recording in the transmitter here. The problem is there's a patent, Zaxcom patent, where you can't simultaneously record and transmit at the same time. For some reason, the 2.4 gigahertz systems like the Rode Wireless Pro and the DJI Mic 2 setup, they let you do that. I'm wondering if it has something to do with the fact that they are 2.4 gigahertz, but I did also hear that supposedly Rode got sued, something to that effect. I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't quote me on that. I'm sure somebody, like I said, can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But yeah, again, this is not going to be a review. This is not going to be a complete, you know, walkthrough of these systems. But I kind of wanted to just demonstrate the basic differences between the DJI Mic 2 and something like the Sony UWP-D kit. The cool thing about this little kit, and I'm obviously recording with the DJI Mic 2 because this is in my hand. I'm actually using the 3.5 millimeter cable from the Sony UWP-D kit with the DJI Mic 2 because I forgot the cable at home. My bad. Also, I am going to be using this on a Panasonic S5 Mark II, which this is probably better for somebody who's in a Sony ecosystem because you can use the SMAD adapter. It's like SMAD adapter, and you can actually send this into the camera without using that 3.5 millimeter jack. I do have that because I did have a Sony camera previously. It did introduce more noise in my experience than using the cable, so I didn't really like it, but I'm wondering if they have updated some of the newer cameras like the Sony FX3 or the FX30 to work better with that adapter. You can also get an adapter for the DJI Mic 2 kit if you are using a Sony camera as well, so you don't have to use that cable. So yes, I am using a Sony product with a Panasonic product, and not only that, I'm using Panasonic, if I can get this open. Panasonic N-loop batteries, nickel metal hydride batteries, in a Sony transmitter, or I should say receiver and transmitter. And I'm going to be connecting it to a Lumix S5 II. So talk about brand loyalty. I don't really care. I use the products that I like. I think my ISO needs to pop up a little bit here. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually switch to the UWP-D setup from the DJI Mic 2 setup. This isn't going to be a range test. I'm not going to walk, 150 yards back there behind the trees, but we'll see. Maybe I'll walk a little bit further with this just to, I don't know, just mess around with it, I guess. But yeah, one cool thing too, if you turn on the power here on the transmitter and the receiver, so I've got these powered on, and if you can see here, there's an NFC logo here on the Sony UWP-D kit, or the receiver. It's got NFC sync. I'm looking at the monitor just to make sure that I'm doing this correctly. If I hold this down, it's going to start scanning these channels to see whatever's the cleanest channel. And then what I can do is I can actually connect these together, and hopefully it finds one. My battery is almost dead. I just realized that. Let's see. I don't know if you heard that. So now these are paired. So now I can set this up onto the Panasonic S5 Mark II and use the mic that comes with the Sony UWP-D kit. I keep saying Sony UWP-D kit. I believe that's what it's called. Too many letters. Sony needs better product names. But anyway, I'm going to use that next, and yeah, just switch out from this. By the way, I am not using the included lav mic with the Sony kit, with the DJI Mic 2 kit, because I think you need the TRS to TRS adapter to connect to it. I've never actually tested the lav mic with the DJI Mic 2 setup. So like I said, this isn't going to be an apples to apples comparison. If you're asking if this is better than this, like, it really depends on what you're doing and like where you're at in terms of video production. Like if you're just creating stuff for YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, obviously this is going to be better than something like this. So, really, I think you couldn't go wrong with either one, but this is probably a lot more convenient for most people. So anyway, enough rambling. I'm going to switch to these next. All right, hopefully you can hear me. Just going to connect this here. This is not proper mic technique. It's getting cold out here. All right, hopefully that looks good. So yeah, so the levels, I think the levels are pretty good. So I'm wearing black, so it's not as easy to distinguish that I've got a lav mic on. So this is a little bit more discreet. If you're trying to hide a lav mic, then, and again, this has nothing to do with the Sony UWP-D kit. Like, this just has to do with lav mics in general. Obviously, using the DJI Mic 2 is much more noticeable. Some people actually hate the look. I'm not crazy about the look. I do think it looks a little, I don't know. I've made a few videos with it, but I do prefer a hidden lav, and this is obviously not that well hidden, but just kind of a demo again, so you can kind of see the difference. Obviously, that's, like I said, not anything to do with the UWP-D wireless kit, but yeah, this is a little test of the Sony wireless lav kit out in the open. Again, this isn't really a range test. I don't have any way to really measure how far. Well, I guess I could just do a little walk. I'll just walk backwards. I know I didn't do this for the DJI mic kit, but I'm going to do it for the Sony kit anyway, just for the hell of it. So don't yell at me in the comments or like, oh, yeah, that's not fair. The DJI mic, you didn't do that. And like, I know. But like, again, this is more just for people who are interested in these products. Maybe somebody's looking to buy one of these. Like I said, if you're a Sony shooter, this makes more sense for you. I am using a Panasonic S5 Mark II with this setup. So you can use it with any system. Don't think that just because it's a Sony product means you can't use it with anything else. Excuse me. We're probably about, I want to say 60, 70 feet away now. Maybe, like I said in a previous video, my depth perception, or my distance perception, I guess, is not the best. But yeah, so Sony UWP-D kit. This is a one-person setup. If you want to get the 2-person setup or two transmitter setup, it's going to run you about $1,200, which is definitely pricey for somebody who's just trying to create content for the internet. If you're trying to run a production company or freelance, maybe this makes a lot more sense, especially if you're running something like a Sony FX30 or FX3 or even a Sony FX6. I've had this for a while and I got a good deal on it. I can't remember exactly what I paid, but yeah, I've had experience with the Sennheiser G4 setup, and that's a good system. But I definitely like the fact that this has the NFC pairing. I don't like the fact that obviously you cannot record in the transmitter. That is something that's really cool about the DJI Theos system and the 2.4 gigahertz systems like the DJI Mic 2 and the Rode Wireless Pros. I am afraid that the battery is going to die on the receiver. I saw that it was pretty low, so if I cut this video short, that's why. But yeah, this is a great little setup. Like I said, this isn't a complete walkthrough or overview of this system. Just kind of wanted to give a little demonstration. I will say the cool thing that you can get with this, like if you don't get the one with the two body packs and the receiver. So the receiver is different. This is I forget the names. This is for one body pack, the receiver. The one that you get with the 2 body packs is a different receiver, and that can take 2 different transmitters. So, the cost difference is pretty big when you compare it to something like the DJI Mic 2, but you are getting a UHF system with 2 body packs. That being said, what was I going to say? Oh, yes. So one cool thing is there is a package that you can get too with a transmitter that does 48 volt phantom power, and you can use shotgun mics. You can use dynamic microphones too, but it does give you 48 volt phantom power, and you could do like a wireless boom setup, which I might do a video on that actually, because I have that kit. And that's really the reason I bought it. You couldn't get it separate from the receiver. And I was like, well, I might as well get the transmitter with the lav mic anyway. So yeah, and for anybody wondering, just for quick tech specs, this is the Panasonic S5 Mark II. I might have mentioned that a couple times already, but I am shooting with the 18mm f1.8. I've got a Freewell ND filter on right now. I am shooting in Cine Like D, and I didn't really, care about setting it to vlog in this video. The ISO is definitely needing to be cranked up because I might even be able to take off the ND filter. Anyway, we're at 3.5 on the aperture. But yeah, the sun's going down, so I only have a little bit of light left in this recording. So yeah, I don't really like the sound quality coming right from the DJI Mic 2 transmitter. And again, I didn't do a lav mic test with that, so I should say that this obviously is not a direct comparison between these, so don't think I'm saying one is clearly better than the other for what you're getting. But I should get a lav mic or get the adapter so I could connect this lav mic to the DJI Mic 2. I do want the DJI Theos, and I had it for a little while, but I don't know, I thought it was really cool. It was honestly the packaging, the whole setup, the fact that you can swap out the antenna. That is one cool thing about the DJI Theos kit. You can actually swap out the antennae, or the antennae, whatever. I don't know. I was having issues with it, and I've heard some people are having great results with it. I've heard from other people that they were having serious issues with the audio when it came to transmitting, but when they were actually recording into the transmitter, they didn't have those noise problems or that high noise floor. So yeah, I mean, I've had the Sony UWP-D kit for a while. I'm still struggling with the name, as you can see. And I've liked it. I wanted the DJI Mic 2 because I did want something a little simpler too, just to play around with. But yeah, tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think this audio is pretty good? I didn't really do any gain staging or anything like that. I'm walking backwards again, as you can see. But yeah, this is the audio quality you can get directly from setting up the Sony UWP-D kit with the, between the transmitter and the receiver with the NFC pairing, and connected to my Panasonic S5 Mark II. Like I said, you can use it with any camera system. You don't have to be a Sony shooter to use it. I'm not. I'm using it with this, and it's working pretty great, honestly. But again, I only have one body pack. I can't do a 2-person setup with this, and there's no backup recording. So that is kind of a drawback. Pros might say it's not really. With all that being said, I'm rambling at this point. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Tell me what you think. If this sucked, if you hated this video, if it was a waste of time, let me know in the comments. I'm sure some of you will. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.